Good evening, friends. On behalf of the Samakalina Samajika Samskritika Vedike, greetings to all of you. You know, we have been releasing videos on various topics. The last video was on the 5th anniversary of some of the leaders of Samakalina leaving the SUCIC. In course of that video, we had said that on some other vital issues concerning SUCIC, where we have got very, very serious questions, we are going to discuss again, and that is regarding the foundation of the party. Is it correct to say that SUCI took its birth on 24th April 1948, as has been told to us all through, and as we propagated about it emotionally in different parts of the state and everywhere, other states also? So that question, when it came before us, we felt it is very important. It has important ramifications, which needs to be discussed with all of you. And how did these issues crop up? Actually, there is a communist party in Bangladesh by name Bangladesh Samajtantrik Dal. It had a very long-standing relation with SUCI, and in fact, to an extent, they had accepted Shibdas Ghosh, the founder of SUCI. The relations between the parties were cordial. We had also visited Bangladesh on behalf of SUCI and its students' wing, women's wing, and all that. So, this party, Basat, had to undergo a split around 2013 on the issue whether Shibdas Ghosh is to be considered as a Marxist authority or not. After that, what has remained as the main Basat, under the leadership of Comrade Kale Kuzjaman, they have raised issues with SUCI that whether it is possible to really consider Shibdas Ghosh as an international authority. The faction which left Basat under the leadership of Mobinul Haider Chowdhury, submitted some 42 points, and before the discussion could conclude, Haider Chowdhury left the party. This is all past, we are not going into it. But now, of late, when relations developed between Samakalina and Basat revealed many aspects regarding the history of SUCI. One day they had respected SUCI, learned from it, and respected Shibdas Ghosh. But when they were trying to see whether the claim that Shibdas Ghosh is really an international authority, whether it's justified, they stumbled upon various facts. Whether SUCI was formed according to the very process that it claims is the genuine process to develop a genuine communist party on the Leninist model. So what they found out, they have been releasing many books on that. And one of those books in Bengali reached us. Here is the book. Its translation is perhaps that it is a polemic. It's part of an ongoing polemic. We requested them whether we can have an English version of it. So they have released this book. They have sent it to us. This reached us out a month or two back. What does it read? Polemic Debate 7. Some views of Shibdas Ghosh, claims of splinter group, and our analysis with reference to historical facts and documentary evidences. Socialist Party of Bangladesh, SPB. I will be referring to it often as Basat in this discussion. Now, Basat, or Socialist Party of Bangladesh, has sent certain documents along with this book. Now we will be putting up all these facts on the Facebook in the form of an article. And those of you who are interested to read the original book, we request you to do so. This video is not a substitute for this book. This video is not even substitute for the article that we have written about it. It's a very short article. This video is only an introduction. So if there are any small inaccuracies in expression, kindly bear with us. Now, what does this book say? It says that SUCI was not born on 24th April 1948 as a communist party or even a political party. Then what was it? They give us little history that in 1946 several small groups came together to form a platform of action. That platform is also meant to discuss about Marxism and formulate certain basic things. This platform was called as Socialist Unity Center. There were many factions in that, 4 factions. There was one very important personality by name Sudhin Pramanik. We have also heard about him when we were in the party. He was very much associated with SUCI in the trade union movement and elsewhere. There was also another renowned person, Nepal Bhattacharya. So all these groups came together in 1946 to form a platform of action. It's not a communist party. Now within few months, whatever differences arose, these factions went away. And Shivdas Ghosh, with his comrades, retained the name Socialist Unity Center. So after all these factions have left, they felt that they have to come together again and give a formal shape to this platform. I emphasize, they decided to come together, not to form the party, but to form a more or less permanent type of central committee to head this platform of action. So such a convention was convened after independence, 1948. The convention was held at Jayanagar. Now, what is the SUCI version regarding this? SUCI accepts, and we were also told when we were in the party, that what was formed was originally a platform. A platform to unite all the socialist, communist forces of India. This came into being in 1946. But what is the SUCI's version? SUCI says that there was intense polemical debate based on dialectical materialism, Marxism, covering all aspects of life, economics, politics, art, literature, culture, and the most important aspects of personal life, love and sex, family relations, everything. Through that intense ideological struggle, they formed the party on the 24th of April 1948. Basad disputes it. Basad, Bangladesh Samajtantrik Dal, or Socialist Party of Bangladesh, says that essentially between the platform formed in 1946 and the platform formed in 1948, there is absolutely no difference. The only difference is that a new committee was formed. The program, the objective remained same. To bring together all the socialist forces in India together. There was no question of one single communist party or any such thing at that time. They considered all our forces of socialism, communism, and they decided to bring all of them together. So if this be true, then what do the documents say? Which claim is correct? Now here is the first document, the platform of action. This is the document of 1946. What does it say? The SPB in its book, which I have shown you, that is Polemic Debate 7, says that in 1946, the aim of the platform has been expressed like SUC is not a party, nor a sectarian group in any sense, but a propagandist platform and a temporary instrument for the unification of all socialist forces. There are so many other things. What's relevant for our discussion, I have quoted. It continues to say almost the same thing. Its very name signifies its task and justifies its emergence as a unifying force to cement a close Marxist unity in order to pave the rise of an effective working class party worth its name. SUC, 1946, page 1, capital letters as in original. There are some capital letters. Now friends, this is the document which has said it. Will the SUCI dispute? I don't think they will dispute, because they had always told us that in 1946 a platform was formed. Only they didn't tell us that there were 4 factions and they all left within months. This part they had not told. We will excuse it for a while. Now 1948 document, what does it say? I have shown you the cover page of this document. It's a thesis-like thing. There are many questions and there are many contradictions in this document, but that is not the subject matter of our discussion in today's video. We come back to the point. On the question of whether it is a platform of or a party, what does the 1948 document say? The 1948 document says it's part of political resolution adopted in 1948. It comes in the 14th page of the book published by Bassett. It's quoted from the original. It says, in the absence of an effective working class party, it is imperative on us to create what? Create a party? No. It is imperative on us to create preconditions for the rise of a working class party. So the 46 document also says the same thing, that the preparations are afoot to bring all the forces together. This also says the very same thing, to create preconditions for the rise of a working class party of our concept, capable of leading the working class and other popular forces in the struggle against imperialism, capitalism and feudalism to achieve socialism. SUCI, 1948, page 51. It doesn't stop there. In the second part, with the end in view of accelerating the process of Indian revolution, which is long overdue, and to create the preconditions for the birth of an effective working class party, the Socialist Unity Center put forth the following program of its own. SUCI, 1948, page 52. So you expect that this document should have declared that all the preconditions have been fulfilled. And we are glad to announce the birth of the real Communist Party on Indian soil. But in this document, you will not find that. Essentially, the statement of 46 and 48 in these two documents remains the same. So no party was formed. What are the further evidences that you can get for this? Just before this April convention, a book was published. And in that book, what has been said? Let me read it for you. This is the language of Bassett. What did Shibdas Ghosh say at the outset of the party formation? What did he say? Shibdas Ghosh got a book published in February-March named A Critic of the Communist Movement in India, just before 24th April 1948. At the beginning of one of the chapters of the book under the headline, Our Organization, Socialist Unity Center, he wrote, meaning Shibdas Ghosh wrote, now we owe an explanation to all communists in general and to the communists of India in particular as to the formation of another new organization in the prevailing confusion, sectarianism and party fanaticism in the body politic of India. He's not saying party, he's saying organization. Before dwelling on the point, we emphasize with all the force at our command that we have no intention to add to the bewilderment of the Indian people in general by declaring our organization and claiming it as the only working class party of India. Far from asserting like that, we modestly declare our organization as a propagandist platform and a temporary instrument for cementing closest possible unity among the communist forces of India. First, in order to achieve broader democratic unity and to accelerate the preparation for the socialist proletarian revolution of India, etc. etc. Now, this is the book in which he has spoken. Again, it is the enlarged copy of the book, A Critic of Communist Movement in India. Please excuse me, the book is very old, so naturally the print is not all that clear. Okay, now any more evidence? Yes, the convention was over, but there was hardly any announcement about the formation of the party. In May, there came out a small booklet, and in the last part somewhere, it was just mentioned that SUC has been formed with a new committee. Now, this was in Bengali. This is how the book should have looked. This is a Xerox copy of that. Now, since it is in Bengali, it has been translated by our friends, and I will just read out what it says, what is the important thing. The translation of the name comes out like this: 1948 document of SUCI, excerpts from On the Path to Struggle. On the Path to Struggle, published on May Day. Now, the relevant part I will read out. The convention has constituted a new central committee comprising of 11 members with Shibdas Ghosh as its general secretary. Let me read again. The convention has constituted a new central committee comprising of 11 members with Shibdas Ghosh as its general secretary. Now, the first part is, if it is a communist party that has been formed, you cannot say new central committee. You will have to say that the central committee of the communist party that has been formed as SUCI, Socialist Unity Center of India, has 11 members. The language betrays what this convention was. This convention was to formalize the earlier existing platform. Formalize in the sense, after all the three groups have left, leaving only the Shibdas Ghosh faction, and since those members who had formed or who are part of the original Provisional Executive Committee of Socialist Unity Center, they are not there, so it has to be reconstituted. So the 1948 April 24th convention was meant to formalize SUCI and its central committee. This SUC is only a platform of action, not the Communist Party. The next interesting part of this sentence is, there are 11 members. We have all through heard that Shibdas Ghosh and 6 comrades formed the Communist Party, SUCI, on 24th, 1948. So there is a jarring note here. Something does not fit into our understanding, what we have been told all through, and what we spoke everywhere, years and years in different towns, cities of Karnataka. Sometimes I have gone out to other states and addressed foundation meeting with all our emotions. And we kept declaring that 24th April our party was formed, SUCI as the Genuine Communist Party was formed, with Shibdas Ghosh as General Secretary and 6 other comrades. This does not tally. Now, any more evidence? Yes. Let us look at one more evidence. Now, this is a book whose English translation of its title would be Party and Party Organization by Pramod Singh Roy. Now, who is Pramod Singh Roy? The Basad book says Pramod Singh Roy was one of the important organizers, very famous man. It is his book. And in this book, Basad says, Comrade Shibdas Ghosh wrote the foreword of the book. When was this published? We have seen the document of 1948 thesis. We have seen Shibdas Ghosh writing a book in February, March. Then we have seen the small booklet of May Day, 1948. This book, when was it published? June 1940. What does it say? Basad says, page number 18 of the Basad book, Polemic 7, fifth point, Party and Party Organization. SUC published a book titled Party and Party Organization on 1st June 1948. Shibdas Ghosh wrote the foreword of the book, and 1 month after the convention of 24th April 1948, now you expect him to announce happily that the Genuine Revolutionary Party of India, Communist Party of India, SUCI, completing all its formalities, fulfilling all the preconditions and prerequisites for the Genuine Revolutionary Party has been formed. You expect him to say that. But what does he say? He says, in quotes, the left unity is divided and scattered in the whirlwind of many different ideologies, ways and grouping. This situation has arisen as a result of absence of a genuine communist party and leadership of the working class. The very reality is demanding what? A provisional tool, meaning a temporary apparatus. A provisional tool or organization whose objective is, on the one hand, to unite and cement all isolated left forces on the basis of a combined program, and on the other hand, to create such preconditions so that ultimately the formation of a genuine working class party can become possible in the way of this united movement. The platform will bring all the socialist forces together. There will be united movement. In this process, he is hoping that one day a genuine revolutionary party will be formed, so that a working class leadership can be established. As a result of this demand, SUCI was established in the month of May in 1946. 2 years have passed since then. We have advanced significantly in performing our responsibilities as well. We have recently concluded the All India and East Pakistan Conventions of SUCI successfully. This is the book published in 1948. This, they say, comes from page 31. So, comrades, this is the position that gets revealed in course of examination of these documents. That the 1946 platform of action was somewhat more formalized, and instead of the earlier provisional executive committee of SUCI, now there is a new committee comprising of 11 members. So, no communist party was formed on 24th April 1948. Now, there is a basis and a background for this discussion. SUCI has often claimed that if you are to form a genuine communist party, 3 preconditions are to be fulfilled. One is that there has to be ideological centralism, meaning you have to develop one understanding regarding all aspects of life: philosophy, economics, politics, art, literature, culture, personal life, love and sex, covering all aspects, developing a uniformity of thinking, developing a uniform body of knowledge. Only then you can go for the formation of a party. Still then it is precondition 1. Then what is the second precondition? That in course of exchange between comrades of the revolutionary party, exchanges covering all aspects of life, the collective knowledge that develops is the collective leadership of the party as explained by Lenin. Now this collective knowledge doesn't hang in air. It takes concrete form through different individuals. And since no two individuals, however similar they may be, they are not identical. So the question comes that there has to be one superior. So naturally in course of this, a leader will emerge at every level, and finally a leader of all leaders will emerge. He is the concrete personified expression of the collective knowledge which has thus emerged in the party. He becomes the leader, teacher, guide of the party. He is the founder general secretary in SUCI, Comrade Shivdas Ghosh. So this is the second precondition every party has to fulfill. And what is the third precondition? The third precondition is that a band of professional revolutionaries have to emerge. Now, who are those professional professional revolutionaries? What Lenin said and what Shivdas Ghosh said may be different. We will examine it later. But the associate definition is that those who have taken revolution as life. Repeatedly, our leaders explained to us that a whole-timer is not a professional revolutionary, meaning not necessarily a professional revolutionary. A professional revolutionary could be whole-timer, but all whole-timers are not professional revolutionaries. A professional revolutionary is one for whom revolution is profession. He has nothing else in life. He is a man who enters into the struggle for identification. SUCI is a language that submitting his personal interest to a great extent. Whenever there is contradiction between his personal interest and social interest represented by party interest, he keeps submitting individual interest, and in course of that, he enters into a very high stage that is called the struggle for identification. These are the type of people, band of professional revolutionaries, who have nothing else in life. They will conduct all their activities, their feelings, their emotions in tune with revolution. They are the professional revolutionaries. So, they say when a group of Naxalites in Calcutta district approached Comrade Shivdas Ghosh that they are going to form a party, Comrade Ghosh warned them that you are coming out of one previous party, you will carry its hangovers. You have to conduct an all-out struggle, fulfill all these preconditions, only then you can form a party. So now SUCI everywhere made this the most important thing. Everybody has to fulfill these three preconditions laid down by Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, and unless and until they can do it, they cannot form a party. Only a party which has fulfilled all these preconditions is a revolutionary party. If anybody has formed it in a hurried manner, then that will not be a party, a real communist party. But the problem now is, did SUCI fulfill it? Firstly, it doesn't appear, looking at this thesis on national international situation, that there has been such a clarity, such an uniformity that fits in with the objective reality. There are so many contradictions. That's why this thesis, which I have shown you, was not made available to the comrades. Whenever comrades approach the Central Committee, that we like to read the thesis of 1948. Because 1988 thesis is made by a new Central Committee under the leadership of Nihar Mukherjee. Comrades have an emotion to see the original thesis. The brilliance of Comrade Ghosh will be revealed in that. That young revolutionary who had already reached such a high stage of maturity, Marxist understanding. What was the thesis formed under him, which reflected the reality of India, which showed that how they had concretized Marxism on Indian soil. Even I too had such a desire. Many people asked the party, nobody was given. In fact, comrades wrote to the Central Committee asking for a copy, and Comrade Asit Bhattacharya said that it is irretrievably lost. But this irretrievably lost document has been now retrieved in different parts of India, almost like an old classic, Sanskrit classic. But it is not difficult to find something which happened in 20th century, almost in the middle of 20th century, so copies are available. That's what Basat says and shows. And according to that document, you really don't feel that things are very clear, and that's one of the reasons that has not been shown to anybody. This appears to be correct. Now, let's come back. What about the other preconditions? Let us take the third one. The second one is related with the first one, so I will not elaborate on it again. The third one, that a band of professional revolutionaries were created. Were they created? Does this 11 reflect that reality? Now, do we have enough proof to say that it was 11? Basat says, yes, there are enough proof to say that it was a 11-member committee. I have already read from this document that there were 11. Now, Basat further says that in different issues of Ganadabi, you will find that there were 11 members. It has been mentioned. The Ganadabi published a small news item after the convention. As I said, if it was a party that was formed, Communist Party, then with great fanfare it should have been published. It did not happen so. In the corner of that booklet, a small news item, a convention was held, and a 11-member new committee was formed. It was published. But again, in different documents, it came that 11 members were there. One such document is a book published by SUCI in 1954. Published a book in Bengali titled Proletarian Working Class and the Party of Toiling Masses. Revolutionary Role of the Socialist Unity Center of India. Here is the book. The Proletarian Working Class and the Party of the Toiling Masses. The Struggling Role of the SUCI. I hope this translation is accurate, but even if it isn't, bear with us. This is the book. Now, this book publishes the names, photos of different leaders. There, they have mentioned the name of Manoranjan Banerjee as a member of the Central Committee. Now, let us leave the second precondition for a while. In one of the discussions, probably addressing the Bangladesh comrades who came out with Comrade Haider Chowdhury, Comrade Pravas Ghosh says that it was an ongoing process of developing the collective leadership through the emergence of one single leader as the concrete expression of collective knowledge, and somewhere around 1954-55 SUCI declared it. This raises questions. Anyway, let us keep it aside. About the third precondition, was it fulfilled? So if you say a band of professional revolutionaries, SUCI's meaning is that they have nothing else in life. They are conducting their entire life in conformity with revolutionary necessity. They have entered into a very high stage of struggle. They are not just old timers. in the process of submitting personal interest, they have reached this level of entering into struggle for identification. Now, these 11 members should fit that criterion. If you have formed a new Communist Party with these 11 members as such professional revolutionaries. But what is the reality? Now here we stumble upon a very interesting thing, that SUCI does not recognize that there were 11 members. They say it is Comrade Shivdas Ghosh plus 6. So here is a color photo which is very popular in all party offices and centers. It is kept. At the center sitting is Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, the famous face of popular leader Subodh Banerjee, and on the other side is Sachin Banerjee, and those who are standing, Nihar Mukherjee, then Pritish Chanda, then Ratin Sen and Hiren Sarkar. But the Basat says that in a book published in 1954, this is the book published in 1954. In this, many leaders' names, photos, everything has been published. The name of the book is Proletarian Working Class and the Party of the Toiling Masses, the Struggling Role of the SUCI. It must be a rough translation of the title, but this is the book. In this book, Hiren Sarkar is mentioned only as a peasant leader from Bihar. Obviously, then he was not a Central Committee member. Basat says that many veteran comrades also report that till 1954, Hiren Sarkar was not a Central Committee member. But Manoranjan Banerjee has been mentioned as a Central Committee member. So here, out of the 7, Hiren Sarkar goes out, Manoranjan Banerjee comes in. Then who are the remaining 4? Basat says that this Pramod Singh Roy was one of the prominent members. In fact, he led the Bengal party. So he becomes the 8th, and they say Radhe Shyam Saha was the 9th. They say both these names occur in different issues of Ganadavi as Central Committee members. After 1948, it repeatedly comes. So naturally, now we have identified 6. Because from 7, Hiren Sarkar is gone, 6 is remaining. Add Manoranjan Banerjee 7, then Pramod Singh Roy and Radhe Shyam Saha. That makes it 9. Then who are the 2? Basat says about the remaining 2, we only have circumstantial evidence, but not hard evidence. They are likely to be Tribedi Bardhan and Chitta Bone. Now why? It could very simply be accepted that it was a 11-member Central Committee. Comrade Ghosh formed the Revolutionary Party in India with 10 more comrades. 11 great revolutionaries formed the party. What's the problem in saying this? Basat says that there is a problem. Because these 4 members whose names come in the end, they were all removed at one time or the other on very serious charges. What are the nature of the charges and where was it published? Basat says it was published in Ganadavi, volume 2, number 4. What is the content? Basat says, but the problem is many of the 11 members of the Central Committee formed at the convention of 1948 were expelled from the party within a year or 2 after the convention. Some of them, like Manoranjan Banerjee, severed their relations with the party and left politics. The allegations against many who were expelled, including Pramod Singh Roy, were, note it, number 1, violation of party discipline. Number 2, misappropriation of party fund. Number 3, involvement in sex-related immoral activities. Number 4, espionage against the party as an agent of the police. Number 5, conspiracy against the party. So these are the professional revolutionaries who are there among the 11. So Basat says SUCI has conveniently hidden this past and shown that Comrade Ghosh and 6 others formed the party. Now, regarding this photo also, Basat has got serious objection. They say This is a photo not of 48, but of some time after 1954. It could be 54 or it could be 55. Because there is no Manoranjan Banerjee here. He has left. And Hiren Sarkar is included. Now the point is, if it is 54 or 55, Comrade Shankar Singh should have been there. Now who was Shankar Singh? Shankar Singh remained in the party when we were there. He remained almost up to mid-90s. He became a member of the Politburo. It was a 3-member Politburo at that time. Nihar Mukherjee, Pritish Chanda and Shankar Singh. Now Shankar Singh left the party. So Basad says that they do not like to project Shankar Singh anymore. But Shankar Singh was there in the photo. It has been removed. How do they prove their point? They say in this group photo, there is a huge gap between Nihar Mukherjee and Pritish Chanda. It is likely that Shankar Singh was there. Since he is a man who is not wanted by the party anymore, they do not want to speak about him, tell about him anywhere. That has been removed. So they say it was a black and white photo. Those days there were no color photos. Later it has been artificially colored. It is very evident. Even if you Google about the introduction of color photography in India, you will find matching information that it was much later in 70s that color photos became very common in India. In 1948, in a remote corner of Bengal, it was not possible. So it was artificially colored. And why was it artificially colored? Because after removing Shankar Singh from in between Nihar Mukherjee and Pritish Chanda, it has left a gap that has to be filled. So by touching the colors there, they have filled the. Now friends, these are all terrible, terrible allegations. Now let me quote from another very authentic and reliable source. This is a thesis written by Dr. Bikash Ranjan Deb. He is a professor in political science, and the name of the thesis is From National Revolutionism to Marxism, a study of ideological origins of Revolutionary Socialist Party RSP and the Socialist Unity Center of India, SUCI. This thesis was submitted to the North Bengal University. Now, I understand Dr. Bikash has been writing various articles apart from the thesis. One of the articles is National Revolutionism to Marxism, a narrative of origins of Socialist Unity Center of India. Now, about the issues that we discussed, let me quote. The sources appear similar. The points made are also very similar. Mr. Bikash has interviewed many SOCI leaders also, including Nihar Mukherjee, Ratin Sen, all these people. Now he says in this paper, a report published in a party pamphlet On the Path to Struggle on May Day 1948 first declared that all national convention of SUC was held. The pamphlet further announced that the convention constituted, and he has put in bold letters, new central committee comprising 11 members. The same as what I have quoted earlier. Now, Dr. Bikash is making another very important point. He says that this convention was first termed as All National Convention. It was never called as the Founding Convention. He has added emphasis and quoted it. He says that the thesis adopted there has a line adopted in the first All-National Convention of the Socialist Unity Center of India, April 1948. So it seems that in the beginning the party considered the 1948 convention as all national convention of the platform of action, but later on chooses to declare it as founding convention. Now, very important point. So far, our study of the SUCI literature goes, the term founding convention was first coined in 1987 party pamphlet, Make Historic Party, Congress a Grand Success. So, this founding convention is a later terminology. And he has also quoted similar sources, and he comes to the conclusion that the SUCI reported in the first issue of their Bengali mouthpiece Ganadabi about a left unity conference held in Patna on 15th 16th April 1948, but they did not in the same issue mention such an important thing as this convention, and if it was party's founding convention, party's organ should have mentioned it. Similar point Bikash Ranjan Dev has made, and he has also quoted from similar source, and he says that there were 11 members as mentioned in the document, and the first report on 1948 first all national convention stated that a new central committee was constituted with 11 members. Now later on, by scrutinizing other documents, he comes to the same conclusion that the name of Hiren Sarkar is added as late as 1954, and he says that names like Pramod Singharai, he was the first provincial secretary of SUCI Bengal, he was mentioned as a CC member. Manoranjan Banerjee was mentioned as a CC member. Radheshyam Saha was mentioned as a CC member. Tribeni Bardhan is also likely to have been a CC member. Now, having said all this, he also says that both Singharai and Saha were the well-known students leaders of Bengal in the 40s and led a number of students' protest movement against the colonial rule. Such well-known personalities were expelled from the party so early could have raised questions on the efficacy of the SUCI's party formation process. So this may be an explanation of omission of names. If the SUCI has got another version, if SUCI has got another set of documents, they are very much free to produce it, and if we are wrong, we will accept it and acknowledge it publicly. But in our own experience with the SUCI, we know that history can be misrepresented, hidden. This is our personal experience in Karnataka also, that many things centered around people who have left the party have been hidden. So is it likely? Could it have happened? In a party which has all through sworn morality, ethics, culture is the basis of that party. Now there is a hitch in their arguments, that is, they keep saying that creation of truth is often essential in the revolutionary movement. That what is necessary for revolution, that is the truth we will reproduce. So now this is a very dangerous argument. Very, very rarely this principle can be applied, but if you start applying anywhere and everywhere, it leads to falsification of history, avoiding of things. SUCI has painted itself as the most perfect party. It took birth fulfilling all the three prerequisites. It is a party which has hardly made mistakes. So the necessity of falsification. We have seen in case of constitution that the real constitution is not printed, not circulated, while another constitution has been presented to the Election Commission of India. On this we wrote a story, and there also we said that if we are wrong, please correct us. So far nobody has corrected it. It is in public domain. We have asked different comrades, please produce the constitution. It has not been produced. So also the thesis has not been produced of 1948. All this leads us to conclude that the Basad version could be likely true. So comrades, it doesn't make us happy to prove SUCI wrong on so many counts. It leaves us very, very unhappy and pained. Unhappy and pained because we believed in this party, its version of its history, its definitions of prerequisites, and its declaration that it is the most genuine communist party. We dedicated our lives for it. Now there are comrades inside, they will have to debate on this. We have left the party, it no longer concerns us so much seriously as you. Please debate about it. If these things are wrong, let Basad be cried. I mean, you please declare Basad as a party which has falsified things, has lied. But if Basad is right, please accept, correct these mistakes, stand on truth. This is important because it concerns not only SUCI, it concerns the left movement. We have to build left movement, communist movement in India on real basis. For this debate is very, very important. This debate will continue without any hatred, without any dislike, without any ill will. We have started this debate. We shall continue this debate. Don't consider us as enemies. We are your friends, comrades of SUCI. If what we have said is wrong, we will correct it. But if there are elements of truth in what we have said, or if the whole thing is truth, then you have a very serious introspection and correction that is due for you. So, wishing all of you the best for future and expecting that all these polemics will lead to better understanding of the left and communist movement in India, so that a glorious struggle of the common people, the working class, can be unleashed against the tyranny of capitalism in India. We end this particular episode here. Thank you very much.